So let's move on to phase two. After getting ready for growth, you have to actually set your metrics, set some quantifiable growth goals that you're going to work on during your process. The most common way that I've seen to do this, and especially if you're new to this sort of thing, the simplest way to start getting growth going is to just pick one metric that matters. It's also known as kind of the North Star metric or true north for your startup. Rather than having like a bunch of different things that you're working on, you just pick one thing and like make sure everybody on your team knows what that number is, and that whether it's at your weekly all hands or in a Slack update or something else that you do with your team every week, that everybody on your team knows what that metric is and knows whether or not you're achieving it. As Conrad Rodowski, who's worked at Teachable and has done a bunch of other growth stuff, he says, like, once you prioritize one growth metric, every decision becomes faster and more effective. And I've found that to be true across every company, every app I've ever worked at or worked on. So there's a bunch of different metrics that could be your key metric. For example, here's just some of the most common ones. You have active users, the number of folks who are actually using your app every week. Churn, so if you have a small number of users, this could be really important. How often do people stick around? Revenue, you can't really argue with revenue. It's kind of an amazing metric when it comes down to it, if your app is the kind of app that somebody pays for. The customer acquisition cost for a lot of D2C or subscription or commerce companies. One of the key, most important metrics is like how much it costs to acquire a new customer. The flip side of customer acquisition cost is lifetime value, or LTV. That's how much money you derive from a customer over their interaction with you. And then finally, one of the ones that we like to use as a qualitative measure that somehow translates into something quantitative is Net Promoter Score, or NPS. Any one of these could be the metric for your startup. Maybe none of them is. You might have to think a little bit harder about what actually matters to you. At Chartable, the biggest one that we actually track right now, because we've kind of moved away from, we're kind of not in our earliest stage anymore. We're a somewhat established company. We've raised money. We have paying customers. We're mostly focused on revenue growth right now. That's our number one thing. Everybody at the company knows how we're doing on revenue, both on the sales team, the marketing and engineering teams, product teams. We also use a metric that is very specific to us. A lot of our product value is derived from us performing podcast analytics on downloads that come in. And so we use our total number of tracked downloads as kind of a top line metric of how many publishers are we serving, how much value are we actually delivering to the podcast ecosystem. And then finally, we use Net Promoter Score also as a, I'll get to this concept in a moment, but the thing I like about NPS is that it does balance kind of the customer feedback with these kind of more hard metrics like revenue and downloads. And again, we review these numbers every single week. Hopefully, I don't know if you want to test me on this. Hopefully, if you asked any of my teammates how we're doing, they'd know exactly what these numbers are doing, what they're trending like. And I think that's really important to keep everybody focused, even if they're not directly working on growth at your company. These are the things that are our North Stars. And if there was really only one metric I had to choose, I would choose revenue right now. We're focusing on scaling our sales and marketing pipelines.